Guys, this is my short-term, medium-term, long-term thesis on UWT. Let's move on to the last one, which is natural gas, UGAZ. And what do we have here in UGAZ? We've got a long-term channel consolidating zone right here that I've drawn that has captured the price action of basically the last 4 or 5 months here in this move. So let's zoom in a little bit further. As far as my notes go, long-term bullish. There are previous bounces in May and June. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Medium term, I'm neutral. It's in an ABC correction. There are 2 gap fills on its way down, so that might be bullish as it comes and fills those gaps. And it's approaching this new time fib over here. So as far as the times go, we have a low, a high, a low, a high. And I think that this might be the ultimate low that comes down over here. I'm going to be scooping up a lot of shares. These black lines right here mark fib lines, and I'll be interested to see these come down and act as support and resistance in the coming days. But as far as Elliott wave goes, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Elliott wave theory is expected to have an equal weighted corrective move at the same time as the impulse wave, which was the bullish move. And we can see that playing out pretty well right here. We have 1, 2, 3, and then as far as the corrective wave, we have 1, 2, 3 over here. So we're almost towards the end of this corrective wave, and I'd be very interested to see what happens at the end of this. Moving on to what I mean by so for the short term, I'm bullish. I think it's oversold. It might have a dead cat bounce, and it might have a slow sideways to create a definite bottom, kind of like we saw over here in March, where it made this bottom, dead cat bounce, and confirmed the bottom, and then moved higher. So as far as what I mean by long-term bullish, I think this is extremely interesting. There's previous bounces in May and June, and I think that this is represented pretty well here on the UNG chart. So what can we see in UNG? And let's just kind of mirror it a little bit. So we have a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Oh, and these happen, this is March, April, May, June right here. And over here, the reason that it's significant is we're in the same trend at the same time as last year. So this is March, April, May, and June is almost right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we come down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. And then we have a bunch of chop in this sort of semicircle that we have taking place right here. And we also see a semicircle taking place over here. They're slightly different, but very similar in a lot of ways, and I kind of want to go ahead and take the time just to show what I mean. So let's get our drawing tool out here, and let's draw the price move here. All right, so we've drawn the price move over here, and notice how nicely it reciprocates on the other side at the exact same time. See how nice that is? I think that's very clear, how closely that these prices match up. Notice that these are the same time of month, pretty much the exact same price movements. And as far as the other side goes, we have a double wave down, and we see that right here. We have a down, up, down. Over here, we have this down, up, down. So what am I doing right now? I'm going back to UGAZ's chart, and let's check it out on the smaller time frames. So over here, I have some support lines and notes filled out. So I think that this is a support line. I dragged it all the way across. Again, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. And on another trading platform, I can identify pivot points, and the first pivot point or first support level was at 1780. We can see that we fell right through that. This was a fib line right here. It was a double support line. We can see that we fell through that. And then the second pivot point that was marked, and the final pivot point on my other charting platform was at 1510, and we can see that it was supported very well today here at 1510. As far as these gap fills go, I do expect these to get filled at some point. For example, we can see a gap fill over here when it fell from 2150 to 2050. We came down even further, and then we came back and filled this gap back to 2150. Now we have 2 huge gap fills. We have one that came here from 1880 down to 1680 about, and then we had a second one for the second day in a row here at 1625 down to 1580. So I'm be interested to see these gaps get filled in the upcoming days. Moving on to a even smaller time frame, let's change this back to Heikin-Ashi. I have this RSI divergence right here, and this is turning into a fairly large RSI divergence over the last 2 days. We can see that we have our ultimate low RSI right here, and we can see that our RSI has been moving up, up, up. Right now we're just at the 50 level. It's very important for us to get up above the 50 level, and I think that we might be seeing that. So we have a low here all the way to a high, and we have a low here down to a lower low. So this is a big RSI divergence that I see playing out right here. We can see that bear volume on our CCI is starting to shore up a little bit. People are taking profits. We're at this near-term time fib line over here, and we also have a pivot point down here at 1510. I set a couple large limit orders at 1510, and they were filled. I think it got to a low today of about 1505. So let's go to the 1 minute chart. I saw some divergences, I guess, today. We can see that we have price move from a high to a lower high, but RSI here is low and then a or high and then a higher high. So this is another type of divergence that we see right here. Another one I saw was that this was high, then it went to low, and this is the high, and the RSI is basically at the exact same level, whereas price had dropped, 30, 40 cents. So there are 3 short-term divergences going on here in natural gas, and I fully expect us to form a short-term bottom right here and then move way up given my short-term RSI divergence, medium-term oversold level, and long-term prediction based on the UNG natural gas chart that price in June spikes quite hard. All right, so that's my analysis for all these ETFs. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you the best of luck in trading tomorrow.